Wynand Theron joins us on this episode of What's Next. Wynand is the CEO and founder at iTried, and really, it's unnecessary for you, Wynand, to have the view of Table Mountain in the background. Just rub it into us in Gauteng. Wynand, good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, Aki, and you?
Yeah, superb, thank you. Now, iTried is a very interesting company. Tell the viewers, what exactly does iTried do? And what made you start this particular business? I'm very curious.
So we are an IT consultancy company. We cater to the SME markets, or the startups, the SME markets. So we help these small businesses start up their little business. So if they have any IT assistance that they require, you get very smart people out there, and then you get the people that start their business, but they're not sure how to start their business securely. In terms of email security, in terms of their web design, in terms of their network security. So what we do is we help them out on that journey to build their business on a secure platform from the beginning. iTried's main focus is purely helping these small SMEs or the startups, or maybe schools, or those people to just build their network platforms more secure than what they currently have.
Okay, now that's brilliant. I mean, the small, medium-sized enterprises are the core of this economy, the amount of people that they employ, the entrepreneurship that happens. And I guess that, when you look at technology, Wynand, it does seem intimidating for those small businesses, and it shouldn't be, right? Because today, the world has become democratized from technology. Everyone has got access to the cloud. You can buy as a service. You can, you consume what you want, and there's no need for small, medium-sized enterprises to be intimidated, even by the security aspects. And you simply cannot ignore security, especially when you look at the types of ransomware attacks that are out there. I mean, any kind of those attacks could literally cripple one of these small businesses. So how does iTried help startups and businesses, both big and small? What do you guys do, and how do you help them?
So security, as you said, is a very big thing for a SME, and if their data gets leaked, we can do you can get data leaks on the likes of an email that gets leaked, or an Excel sheet that gets leaked with all your data and your customer information on. And so to have your staff trained in the basics of knowing where you're sending your emails to, and making sure that if you're sending your emails to the correct place, that it's on a secure basis, and only the person with that email address can log on to that sheet, for instance, or your database, or and the security around it is what we look at. We look at, is there two-factor authentication activated on your databases, on your Microsoft 365, on your G Suites, and there's so many platforms, I can name them all, but they all have the 2FA these days, the two-factor authentication, which is a major part in helping security, or your end user or your staff members get the basics of the security rights for your data not to leak. So we help with that, with this little bit of awareness training, if you can call it like that, to help these basic users just make sure that whenever they send a file of anywhere to someone specific, that there is always a 2FA type solution, a PIN code or any of those type of solutions out there.
Okay, now you're talking music to my ears. It's incredible how many people don't have two-factor authentication enabled in organizations, and of course that is probably one of the biggest barriers to prevent any kind of security lapse from happening. And I guess that you guys understand that, and of course what you said about teaching people, that is so important, because it's always the human factor, right? That is the vulnerability in the chain when it comes to security. Can you go through some of the top achievements that iTried has gained since? And you guys have been around, for 3 years now, or is it just under 3 years?
Yeah, about 2 years now. We started in August, in August 2020, just after the big COVID. That we now forgot. I think we're not wearing the masks anymore, so we forget that COVID still exists. But so some of our big achievements in the last 2 years have been, helping a school, and the school's ability to train people securely and making sure that their data is always secure in transit, or if they have an email that they have to send out, that they have that basic level of awareness in making sure that their data is always protected by this two-factor authentication. And we also have a co-working space in one of the biggest co-working spaces in South Africa at the moment, Workshop 17. And what we do for them is also help them out with their Google Suite, and making sure that their Google Suite is active on two-factor authentication, that their app passwords are protected, because it's a co-working space, and the co-working model is also very big, and you have a lot of people in the same space with different companies, different security requirements, and helping Workshop 17 keeping their data safe and ensuring that their members' details are also secure in transit. And there's a lot of things that we can do, but one of the main things we do is we utilize tools like the Fusion SD-WAN and the Illuminate product to cipher the data and to make sure that there's no hacks on your network or on your LAN. We make sure that we go through these reports on a daily, on a weekly basis rather, so that we can mitigate anything happening on the network.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, with technology today, I mean, you guys are able to remotely, and using AI and all sorts of other tools, you're able to remotely monitor what's going on, and should you flag anything, then you can actually, intervene and do what's necessary. It's amazing to think that you guys are going to be 3 years next year. It's difficult to believe that it's going to be 3 years since COVID started as well. But I mean, you guys were born in a very different environment to where traditional businesses are born. What are iTried's future plans? What is iTried going to do now? Obviously going to continue along this trajectory, and you've picked up lots of business. But what are your future plans and goals for the years to come?
Okay, so we've just acquired a development house. It's not yet fully transactionalized, but we've just acquired a development house where we will be focusing on developing our own applications in-house and helping these SMEs that want to do a quick app integration into one of their platforms, like an accounting platform. You've got your Excel sheets and you want to push them into an accounting platform. We're going to help them with that, and then and build the apps. Build a mobile app if you want one. Build a service if you're looking for a specific service. And then one of the other things that we're building now is the cloud, which is as a service, what we know as a service these days. But we are taking everyday usable programs, services that's out there, and we're redeveloping them for the South African market. And the main thing to remember there is, like, we have the Googles of this world. We have these big players in these market in this type of market. But what we are requiring, or what we are doing, is purely catering for the South African business that cannot afford the dollars of the world.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. And of course, we know what the rand-dollar exchange rate is doing. It can get away with you, and those costs could be quite prohibitive. Yes, I want to just come back, Wynand, to security, because, whenever you talk about security and you look at the biggest risk to businesses today globally, and you've seen the research that's come out from, global insurance organizations that insure against cybersecurity, et cetera, they say that, cybersecurity is probably the biggest risk to businesses today? A bigger risk than global warming, a bigger risk than COVID-19, for example. And with the increased activity of data security breaches that you've seen, and every day we're seeing, and it's not just the small guys. I mean, the big guys. Look at the attack that Google had the other day. I mean, this is happening every single day. What would you recommend be the course of action to prevent these kind of security breaches? What do organizations do? What do individuals like myself do to prevent these kind of attacks? And I know you mentioned two-factor authentication, which is such a great start to it, but what is your advice, Wynand?
So, 2FA is definitely a starting point for everything, and making sure that whenever, because if you look at the leaking and the data leaks that happens, it's purely data of people that has an email address that doesn't have any 2FA or multi-factor authentication on to their accounts, and what's leaked is your email address normally and a hashed password. So that hashed password is being and then rehashed or to get the actual password, and and then they try to log in. And if they log in from any new location, the 2FA will stop you, to gain access to your data. And if you look at the hacks that happened, to Transnet or to one of our I think it happened like a year ago already almost, where the Transnet hack was purely an internal vulnerability that they have. So, from a network security perspective, it's also very important to make sure that you have the right firewall rules, the right tools to mitigate these firewall rules. Do you have is your hard drive encrypted? Is your network drives that you have on your network, is that encrypted? Is that using certificates to authenticate or to access? So these are the type of things that we look at, and we say, and we make these, we give this advice to our clients and say, listen, can we help this? Can we do this for you? And put a certificate on your Office 365, or make sure that the certificates that you do have on your network is actually valid or still valid. Maybe it's an old certificate that's just sent off with a group policy. But I would still say that 2FA is still your most important part for any business to activate. In terms of Office 365, G Suite, you get Dropbox where you can also store data, and move as much as you can to the cloud. I mean, we all know how reliable a hard drive is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And of course, backup. I'll keep repeating it. Backup and another backup and another backup. It's so interesting you mentioned the work that you guys do with schools. And it's quite interesting when you look at how the schools had to transform with COVID-19, becoming digital and remote learning and that sort of thing. Okay, things are slowly getting back to normal, but people are saying now, hang on a second, the digital model, okay, it had a few iterations in the beginning. We tried to figure out how to do it, but we kind of learned how to do it pretty well. What's your view on digitizing schools? Is that something that's going to continue in the future? It makes complete sense, doesn't it?
Well, we won't know if there's another COVID-19 coming out, or if there's a monkeypox is going to even get worse, or so we don't know what's going to happen with this, and making sure that your school is possibly as digital as possible, for me to be able to log on from anywhere and start my school day. And Google has been, on the forefront of this, where they launched Google Classroom in a matter of months after COVID. And, all the schools started signing up for this Google Classroom, and you can have a classroom, you can do, give all your work or your homework or everything on this Google Classroom. And it's amazing how quick they actually, got to a point where you can launch Google Classroom. But again, you're sitting with a school or teacher that might not know how to set this up. So this is where we come in. We'll consult to them, we'll help them set up, we'll make sure that they have all the security around that. We'll make sure that if a school doesn't have tablets or laptops, we'll source them from one of our South African-based suppliers and make sure that they get it at a very good price. We normally make sure that if we do supply to our customers, we give it at the lowest possible rate we can. And just to make sure that, because schools don't always have this money to just splurge all of a sudden and get that out. But then you get to a point where they return to class and they bring their laptops with, and now they need Wi-Fi access. And now the importance that we have to remember there is that they're on a home network where it's unsecured. They can do whatever they want on this network. But now they're coming to the classroom, they have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Your network is supposed to be secured as well. So what we do there is to take our SD-WAN solution and our Fusion SD-WAN solution, and we secure the network with that. And I think the SD-WAN is such a broad spectrum, and I think that's a discussion for another day. But that's purely something we help with, and it's such a big thing to know what's happening on your network. You want to know if that person is on a stream or a YouTube video the whole day. Are they browsing Facebook, especially in schools? Are they browsing Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and all these kind of things? Because we want to make sure that our network is secure. And there's the tools that comes with the SD-WAN is just amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, SD-WAN is certainly the way to go. But you talk about improving security on any network. We've just been talking about schools now. But, of course, when you think about the vulnerabilities in the network with IoT devices, for example, how do you improve security on any kind of network? And I'm just using IoT as an example because that's a vulnerability on a network. It doesn't necessarily have to be a school, right?
Yeah, it's all about controlling where that IoT device can go, and I think if you limit the scope of where they can access or what that IoT device can access, because 99% of the IoT devices connected to a cloud service, that's got a static IP of some sort, we can limit the traffic to only that specific IP address. So if you do trust that provider and you know that it will only connect to that one provider, then you need to make sure that your IoT device does not connect anywhere else but to that provider. And that's the type of things that we do with these facial recognition terminals that we have now. Because we can't always trust what comes out of the facial terminals or where the data is sent to. We don't always know. So what we do is we lock them down to only connect to a on-site server and make sure that they or to one of our servers that we host, and we make sure that the data that's on there is also protected with 2FA or one of these providers. Google Authenticator is also a very good thing to use.
Mm-hmm. No, I love using that Google Authenticator app. It works just like a dream, and it gives you random numbers each time, and it's fantastic. And we've been talking a lot about security. What experience do you guys at iTried have with network security? Because it's quite complex, and there's so many different facets to network security. What experience do you guys bring to the table?
So our security, so our main focus is network design and network build and implementation. And we've partnered up with Fusion, and they actually see to our security. So Ronald from Fusion Broadband, he is actually one of our main security consultants. He is one of the best security consultants that I know. He's got experience in such a wide range of things, and he can analyze a network packet for you in the detail that's out there. And there's so many aspects of a network and network packets that you have to have a consultant or a specialist in this field. So we've built our partnerships in such a way that we can help them and they can help us. And we trust what our consultants do, and that's why we chose a specific provider within South Africa, with this knowledge. And this is it's purely making sure that the person that's doing our network consultancy, or the consultancy in general for security wise, can be trusted.
Okay, so you've got access to quite a pool of very experienced network security officials, and just generally security officials that they fit into the iTried family, and you guys work together. I mean, there's many businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses that are watching this right now. What would you, Wynand, CEO of iTried, suggest for businesses, big or small, right? Whether it's a school or whether it's any kind of small, medium-sized enterprise, to ensure that they've got the best network set up? What would you suggest? What do you recommend?
My first recommendation for everyone will be make sure you have multi-factor authentication. And I'm going to press on that because that's going to be, the walkaway for me from this. Make sure you have 2FA, multi-factor authentication. Use tools like Google Authenticator. Use tools like Microsoft Authenticator. SMSs that get sent to your phone. Make sure that you have that enabled on your network. And if you can't enable it if you struggle to enable it, at least call us. Give us a call. We'll help you out. Send a mail to support at iTried.co.za, and we'll come to you, or we'll do a remote session, and we'll help you out with that. My second thing is that, make sure that your drives are encrypted. If you have data traveling from your device to the cloud, make sure that the data that you send is always encrypted with a password. So if you send off PDF files or Excel sheets or Google Docs or Word documents, make sure it's protected in some sort of way with a password. And when you send a document that's confidential, and you send it by email, never put the password in the same email. Always send it via WhatsApp or an SMS, or a different means that's not on the same email.
Okay, some great tips and great advice. Anything else you wanted to add there, Wynand?
No, I think the basic user awareness training. If you're struggling, to train your people on how to do this awareness, reach out to us on support at iTried. We are busy designing our support portal, which sits on support.itried.co.za. That would help with these little bit of information. So we'll put the information as we discussed today. We'll put it on there, and we'll show you how Google Authenticator works. It's an online portal that we use to just get the basic knowledge out there.
Okay, that's fantastic. Just a quick one. With Google Authenticator, if you don't have a cell phone signal, so if you don't have data on your device, do these authenticator systems still work?
Yes. So normally what happens is within a time frame of 24 hours, your Google Authenticator will have all the codes that it will have generated for the next 24 hours on your device. So that will be on your device already, so that you do not need any internet signal in order for you to gain access to Google Authenticator.
Great advice. Wynand Theron, CEO and founder at iTried. You've got all those details. If you're a small, medium-sized enterprise, give Wynand and his team a call. They're waiting for you. And I mean, it's just great advice. And make sure your network is secure and you're doing the right thing. Because, any kind of breach could be really destructive to your business. You don't want that to happen in the world that we're living in today. Wynand, it's so good to talk to you. And I look forward to chatting to you on your 3rd birthday. Hey? It's coming up next year, March, just a few months away. And congratulations on the incredible achievements that you guys at iTried have done so far.
Thank you, Aki. Thanks. It was great speaking to you.